someone might say that I'm a dinosaur if I say I don't like some of the new things that are happening, but I don't. Just because you can do something, I don't think you necessarily should. For me, some of the best movies that were made were ones that were made in the 90s, where they took physical effects like I would have produced and digitally enhanced them, because what they had was the best of something with gravity and the best of those enhancements. You couldn't really look at them and say, wow, what was that, right? It was movie magic. I think a lot of the stuff that we're doing now, where we get more and more and more photo real, raises a number of different questions. When James Bond goes up a ladder, a 100-foot ladder in 5 bounds, jumps off the top and lands 30 feet on his feet and runs across the roof, that's the end of the movie for me. You know, that is completely unrealistic and unacceptable, and it's just the animator said, well, we can do it, so they did it. When Fast and Furious 5 starts with the bus rolling about 12 times down the street, and then all the people in the bus get out and run away, all those people with their broken legs and their broken necks, they would just be lying in the bus waiting for the ambulance to come. It stretches reality to a point that doesn't make any sense. In Super 8, when a driver of a pickup truck goes head-on with an express train, the express train is completely destroyed, and then they have a conversation with the guy driving the pickup truck. That's the end of the movie for me, because it just doesn't match with reality. We need our stuff to be grounded in something that does not distract from the movie. I remember very early on with digital effects in Pearl Harbor. They had a shot which, you know, was, wow, look at this, look what we were able to do, where they followed a bomb that came out of a bomber, and they went all the way down with the bomb until it hit the ship and blew the ship up. Sounds like a good idea, but so many people were saying, how did they do that, that what they really did was distracted from the drama that they were trying to tell. Effect should never be something that distracts from the movie. It should be something that complements the drama, because the drama is the most important part. If you stop to say, oh wow, or you stop to say, how did they do that, or you stop to say, that was a good explosion, you've stopped the drama. And to be quite honest, semi-transparent explosions are never as good as ones that you detonate on the spot. I think let me tell you a story. When we started on Empire Strikes Back, we were really at the very beginning of what's now called animatronics, only we didn't have a name for it. The Muppets were also developing similar things for Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. And there was a problem. The problem was that making movies is very unionized. And what we were doing broke the union rules, because the sculptors felt that they should be sculpting the figures that we were sculpting, and the plasterers felt that they should be making the molds that we were making, and the props department thought they should be building the puppets that we were building, and the special effects department thought they should be making the mechanisms that we were building. We were treading on a lot of different people's toes, and so they looked for a new name for what we were doing, so that they would say, well, this is a new branch of the union, and we would get away with doing all of those things. And so would the Muppets, who were bringing in a lot of outside people to do what we now call animatronics. And the name they came up with was animatronics. Now, the problem with animatronics is that the tronics part make everybody instantly think about motors and electronics. And actually, the thing that looks the least organic is motors and electronics. When people build a figure, an engineer will look at this and he will see it as a ball race and a hinge. But This is not a bull race and a hinge. This is a sloppy ball in a sloppy socket held together by rubber bands. And so my advice would be, stop. Don't look at what you've got in your servo box when you start. What you have to do is figure out what is the real structure that would be inside this creature. You have to work from the inside out, not the outside in. So when I'm building an alien bat creature, I build, first of all, something that represents the bone structure, and then we make motors move the bone structure. If you just look at the outside and say, okay, well, I'm going to put a joint in here and I'm going to put whatever, you get something that doesn't move like a body at all. And usually people put a bar, for example, goes across from one shoulder to the other, and they completely neglect the shoulder blades and the backbone. Nothing ever moves right. That's what you see in the fairground, is something that goes and just swings itself around. Always think, what is the organic structure? And secondly, if you can possibly do it without using any motors, any hydraulics at all, that's the right way to do it. Because you get much more subtlety and much more nuance out of the movement of a hand or a shoulder than you do out of those motors. Yoda was built as a glove puppet, so this is Yoda naked. This is what gives you those subtle little movements. Just that little subtle movement of the end of the fingers gives you much more subtlety and expression than a bunch of motors that are trying to just do the same thing at either a set speed. Even proportional motors, they are digital, and so they're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 100. Even if they move a tenth of a millimeter, they're still jumping in little steps. You never get a movement that is as smooth and as natural as a human movement. You can't get anything more subtle than a muscle, which accelerates as it moves, gains speed and slows down as it stops. If you can go back to a muscle on a puppeteer, then that is going to always look more natural.